Hi, my name is James Blackburn. I'm a doctoral student at the University of North Georgia. My primary interests are in finance, behavioral economics, and storytelling. As humans, we have really two sides of our brain. Now, a lot of people have talked about that being the creative side and the logical side, and I think that can still be used in this conversation. Richard Kahneman talked about how we make decisions. And in that, he really described what he calls System 1, System 2 thinking. System 1 is a very quick, fast, low activity or low involvement decision making. System 2 is where we spend our time calculating, doing our formulas, thinking through logical reasoning. And what Kahneman suggests is that we don't spend very much time in System 2 thinking, that most of our decisions are in the System 1 area. This includes the decisions around finances. And that could explain why financial literacy training does not really impact our financial decision making or our financial behaviors. Can we reprogram our System 1 thinking, the one that uses rules of thumbs to make decisions, through storytelling? Can we influence our behavior through different types of visual or digital storytelling? When I was reviewing several dissertations, what I found was a general approach was to focus on financial literacy or financial self-efficacy. And there were a lot of research done in the area of the education programs, the background of the participants, and really the psychology of finance or psychology of money. What I didn't really find were very many innovative approaches to changing the way we fundamentally teach financial education. Several mega studies have shown that the understanding or the financial knowledge that we have isn't sufficient to change behavior. In fact, less than 1% relationship exists between financial literacy and financial behavior. So this suggests that there's something else out there that's causing us to make bad financial decisions. Marketing and advertising companies for years have been focused on using storytelling and visual imagery to change consumers' attitudes and motivation to purchase products. The Got Milk campaign is one of those examples. Dairy farmers had recognized that milk sales had been falling year over year. What the advertisers wanted to do was to make drinking milk cool. So what they did is they found celebrity endorsers, and they created by accident what is called the milk mustache. And they made it cool. And what we found, what the dairy farmers found, was that the sales of milk increased. Let's take a look at one of the more recent ads now.
Mister, up there.
I'm sorry, honey. Gotta go. Milk. Ladies, gotta go to work.
What was your general thoughts of that commercial? Did you see the visual elements that created the story? Did you associate with the character? Did you associate with the family? That's all part of creating an effective story through advertising. Brian Greene takes the viewer on a journey into an imaginary world. And I think that is the key of the storytelling, is that what we can do through storytelling is to transport a viewer or a listener or a reader into an imaginary world. And through that imaginary world, what happens is the listener, viewer, reader becomes part of the story. And as they become part of the story, what happens is they are immersed. They start to understand it. And it's through this immersion that the attitude and the beliefs are changed.
We think of our world as filled with stuff, like buildings and cars, buses and people. And nowhere does that seem more apparent than in a crowded city like New York. Yet, all around the stuff that makes up our everyday world is something just as important, but far more mysterious.
Is can we infuse storytelling into other types of education? Can we infuse storytelling into financial education? What we know is that there's a financial crisis or a financial literacy crisis in the United States today and even in the world. Financial education is very boring. Can we make it more interesting by infusing stories? Can we tell stories about events and people within the financial industry? If we can we make it interesting? Because at the end of the day, finance is boring, but people are involved in finance, and that's what makes it interesting. In the movie The Big Short, the director tries to show a story of the financial crisis and how the financial crisis began and what were some of the backroom conversations around this. Let's take a look at that video clip.
Michael, how are you?
I found something really interesting.
The whole housing market is propped up on these bad loans. They will fail. The housing market is rock solid. It's a time bomb. So Mike Burry, who gets his hair cut at Supercuts and doesn't wear shoes, knows more than Alan Greenspan.
Dr. Mike Burry, yes he does.
What did you think about the Big Short movie clip? Were you intrigued by the characters? Did you recall something about the 2007 financial crisis? That's also the power of the story. It allows you to connect with the characters and the events. It resonates within your memories. And that's an important part of creating a very effective tool for education. Now, what my research has found is that there is a financial epidemic. There is a financial crisis, and that financial crisis is getting worse. Over the last 3 years, the average score on the financial capability study has fallen from 30% of 18 to 35-year-olds passing 5 of the 6 questions down to only 17%. It's clear we have to do something about the financial education of the United States. And in this idea, using what is called the theory of narrative transportation, the idea that we're going to immerse our minds in this storyline, and through that we will actually change our attitudes and beliefs, our confidence in where we're moving. Well, we've come to the end of this short video presentation on my research interest. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about how we make decisions, the financial crisis, and how we can use storytelling to actually help us improve our memory, to help us learn more, and change our attitudes and beliefs that lead to our behavior.